The night it began, the sky above Earth turned to static. Billions of people froze as every screen and every billboard, every phone, every holographic display flickered at once. A deep hum filled the air like thunder trapped in a glass dome. The signal came from nowhere, yet it reached everywhere. Then the voice spoke. It wasn't human. It wasn't even organic. The tone was metallic, cold, almost bored, as if delivering a statement that had already been decided long ago. This transmission is issued by the Galactic Council of Civilized Worlds. Humanity has been judged. You are no longer welcome among the stars. For a moment the world held its breath. Then chaos, every spaceport lost contact with orbit. The satellites went dead one after another, their signals replaced by silence. Earth's colonies, Mars, Europa, the Belt, even the distant outposts near Proxima, all vanished from the network. The star lanes, those glowing corridors of faster-than-light travel that had connected humans to the galaxy for over a century, flickered like dying embers and went dark. The stars, once open highways, became locked doors. Governments scrambled to send responses, but their transmissions vanished into static. Military fleets stationed near the outer colonies reported alien patrols surrounding them. Then nothing. And just like that, humanity was alone again. On board the Earth fleet carrier Eidolon, Captain Mira Solis stood on the bridge, watching as the last star lane collapsed. The glowing arc outside the viewport twisted, dimmed and shattered into nothingness. The light faded from her reflection, leaving only her face, and pale, defiant and silent. Around her the crew whispered, "Council can't just cut us off like this, right?" They can. Maybe it's a malfunction, but Mira knew better. She had seen the way aliens looked at humans lately, the quiet avoidance, the diplomatic delays, the subtle military build-ups near human colonies. She had known something was coming. She just didn't think it would come all at once. Her communications officer, Ensign Hale, turned toward her. His voice trembled. "Ma'am, we've lost contact with Mars Command. And Lunar Station isn't responding either. All FTL comms are gone. Try sublight bands," she ordered. I did. "It's just static." Mira stared at the dead screens for a long time. Then she whispered, "They've locked us out." A lieutenant nearby slammed her fist against the console. "They can't do this. After everything we've done for them, the wars we fought, the treaties we signed." Mira raised a hand. "Lieutenant, that's enough." The bridge went quiet. Only the faint hum of the ship's life support filled the air. Through the forward viewport, Earth hung below, blue, fragile, unaware of what was coming. Then, as if on cue, a second transmission appeared. This time it was visual. A symbol appeared. The 12-pointed star of the Galactic Council surrounded by alien script. Then the same metallic voice spoke again. "Humanity's expansion is deemed destabilizing. You have violated multiple accords. Your presence in interstellar space is hereby terminated. Withdrawal of all non-human support will occur immediately. Any attempt to breach restricted sectors will be met with force." The symbol faded. Silence again, no debate. No trial, just a sentence. Mira felt something twist in her chest. Not fear, but anger. The galaxy had decided that humanity no longer belonged. The same galaxy that had once welcomed Earth's ships, praised human creativity, and traded with their colonies, now turned its back. "Get me the fleet commanders," she ordered. "All of them." "Ma'am, most are dark. Only a few near Jupiter and Titan still responding. Patch them through." Within minutes, flickering holograms appeared, faces lit by the glow of failing systems. Admirals, captains, and ground generals. Their voices came through patchy and broken. Admiral Kerr spoke first. "Solis, tell me you're seeing this too." "I'm seeing it," Mira said. "We've been cut off. Half my fleet is stranded beyond Neptune," another voice said. "We're losing power. Alien tech's gone inert. They must have built fail-safes into everything they sold us. That was the cruelest blow. The ship's weapons and energy systems humans depended on had all been manufactured with alien components. And now those components were shutting down one by one, leaving their fleets crippled." Mira clenched her fists. "We rebuild, we adapt. We've done it before, Captain," someone said bitterly. "This isn't the 21st century. We can't just rebuild civilization from scratch." Mira looked at them, tired, frightened leaders who had just watched the galaxy erase them, and she said with quiet fire, "We can. Because unlike them, we know what it's like to start with nothing. The call ended. The holograms vanished. Hours later, Earth's night side glittered faintly beneath the Eidolon. Cities still glowed with light, unaware that their future had just been stolen. But out in orbit, panic was spreading fast. Ships without guidance, stations without power, fleets drifting helplessly. By dawn, global governments had declared a state of emergency. The media called it the banishing. Factories shut down. Trade collapsed. Billions feared starvation. Alien ambassadors, and once common on Earth, vanished without a word. Every gate, every station, every wormhole leading off-world had gone dark. In the midst of the despair, Mira walked through the corridors of her ship, watching her crew trying to stay busy, repairing systems that couldn't be fixed, transmitting messages that would never reach anyone. She entered the observation deck and looked at the stars. They seemed colder now, distant and uncaring. Her second officer, Dr. Vance, approached quietly. "Captain, what do we do now?" Mira didn't answer at first. Her gaze remained fixed on the stars that had betrayed them. Finally, she said, "The galaxy thinks it can erase us, that we'll die off quietly on this little rock." Vance frowned. "You think we can fight back?" Mira turned to him, her eyes burning. "If the galaxy wants us gone, they'll have to make us disappear themselves." Vance said nothing, but the look on his face changed, from fear to something else, determination. That night, aboard the Eidolon, a new idea was born. A whisper spreading through the crew, through the network still alive, through the shadows of a dying communication grid. Resistance. Mira began gathering names. Pilots, engineers, scientists who had lost everything. She reached out to the colonies still in contact, through old analog radio bands that the Council's systems couldn't detect. Her message was simple. Humanity is not done. The silent age is over. And across the scattered fragments of a forgotten species, old transmitters came back to life, one by one, pulsing with faint signals of hope. The galaxy might have banished Earth, but humanity refused to go quietly. The Eidolon drifted in the cold darkness beyond. Jupiter, surrounded by silence. The ship's engines were barely running, powered by what little fuel remained. The crew had stopped counting the days since the broadcast. Hunger gnawed at them, sleep came in short, haunted bursts, and the once steady hum of the ship felt more like the slow heartbeat of a dying beast. Humanity's fleets had scattered, their colonies isolated and forgotten. The galaxy had turned its back, but the fire hadn't gone out yet. It was just waiting to breathe again. In the command room, Captain Mira Solis stared at the holographic map. Most of the screen was empty now, every galactic route gone dark. Only the faint blip of the Eidolon remained, pulsing weakly in the void. "We're ghosts," her second officer, Dr. Vance, muttered. Even if anyone out there could hear us, they wouldn't answer. Mira didn't respond. She traced her finger over the hologram, stopping at a small flicker near the edge of the asteroid belt. A signal, weak, irregular, but human. "There," she said. "That's a distress beacon. Old model," Hale said from the comm station. "Pre-council tech. How's that still running?" "Because it's ours," Mira replied. The crew exchanged glances. They all knew what that meant. If the signal was human, it could be the start of something. Or a trap. "Plot a course," she ordered. The Eidolon's engines groaned to life, rattling through the hull. The journey was slow, dangerous. Every hour brought risk. Alien drones, collapsing debris fields, reactor instability. But the ship pushed on. When they finally arrived, the sight before them was both tragic and miraculous. A small human frigate floated lifeless among the asteroids, its hull torn apart, lights flickering like dying embers. The ship's name was barely visible on the side, Dauntless. "That's one of ours," Hale whispered. Mira nodded. "Let's bring her home." Docking was rough. Magnetic clamps screeched as they connected to the ruined frigate. A boarding team crossed the bridge between ships, weapons drawn, suits pressurized. Inside they found darkness and silence. Then movement. A door slid open with a hiss, and a handful of survivors emerged, starving, gaunt, eyes sunken with exhaustion. Their leader, Commander Juno Red, saluted weakly. "You got the broadcast too?" she asked. "We did," Mira said. "You're lucky to be alive." "Lucky?" Juno gave a bitter laugh. "We fought off a patrol of Scythe destroyers last week. They said they were cleansing the system of human contamination." Her voice shook with rage. They used that word, contamination. The room went quiet. Mira could feel the anger burning behind every breath. The galaxy wasn't just ignoring humanity. It was hunting them. We're building something, Mira said softly. A network. Resistance cells. Scientists, engineers, soldiers. Anyone who refuses to disappear. Juno's expression hardened. You're serious? Deadly. Then count us in. Over the next days, the Eidolon and Dauntless crew... Then count us in. Over the next days, the Eidolon and Dauntless crews worked together, salvaging what they could. They repaired engines, rerouted power, shared food and oxygen. And in the process, something else began to spread, hope. They used ancient analog frequencies to reach out across space, piggybacking on old asteroid relay towers the Council had forgotten. Messages began to trickle in, faint but real. A colony on Titan, a research station near the Oort cloud, even a mining crew near Mars ruins. Humanity was scattered but alive. They began calling themselves the Phoenix Network. The name came from an old Earth myth, rebirth through fire. Fitting, Mira thought, because humanity was burning but it was not dead. Late one night, she stood alone on the observation deck staring at Jupiter's swirling storms. Her thoughts were interrupted by Hale. "Captain," he said quietly. "Incoming transmission. From who?" "Unknown. The signal's encrypted. Old military code, pre-council era." Mira frowned. "Put it through." The voice that came through was ragged but strong. "This is Admiral Kerr, speaking from the ruins of Titan Command. Whoever's listening, Project Phoenix is alive." Mira froze. "Project Phoenix?" Vance looked up from his console. "I thought that was a myth." "A prototype hyperdrive program from before the Council banned human experimentation." "It wasn't a myth," Mira said. "It was humanity's backup plan." The message continued, broken by static. "We built something the Council couldn't control, a drive that doesn't rely on their wormhole network. But the prototypes were hidden, scattered before the purge. Find them. Before they do, then silence." Hale tried to trace the signal, but it was gone. Mira stared into the darkness beyond the viewport, her reflection ghostly against the glass. "Project Phoenix," she whispered. "That's how we take the stars back." The crew didn't sleep that night. They began decoding old archives, searching for coordinates, ship registries, anything related to the lost project. What they found sent chills through the command room. Scattered across the solar system were hidden labs, secret vaults of pre-council human technology, buried and forgotten, but not destroyed. If they could find one of those labs, they could rebuild the drive. They could travel the stars again on their own terms. Days later, as the Eidolon prepared for its next jump, sensors flared red. "Incoming ships," Hale shouted. Mira turned sharply. "Council?" "Negative. Scythe patrolled 3 cruisers. They found us. All hands to battle stations." The Eidolon shook as plasma fire tore through the shields. The enemy ships advanced, sleek and alien, their weapons glowing with deadly precision. Mira's voice cut through the chaos. "Arm railguns. Target their engines." "Captain, we can't win this fight," Vance yelled. "Then we'll survive it." The Eidolon fired, rounds streaking through space. One of the Scythe cruisers exploded, scattering metal and flame. The others closed in. Hull alarm screamed. "Shields at 20%. Reroute power from the secondary reactors." Mira ordered. "Ma'am, that'll overload." "Do it!" A burst of light blinded them. The Eidolon's engines flared white, propelling the ship through the debris field. The alien ships fired again, but the asteroids shielded them. After tense minutes of silence, the sensors cleared. The patrol was gone. They had escaped, barely. The crew cheered weakly, exhausted but alive. Mira leaned back in her chair, every muscle trembling. "They won't stop coming," Vance said quietly. "No," Mira agreed. "But now we know why. They fear what we might become." She looked around at her battered crew, at the scarred metal walls of her ship, and at the endless stars beyond. "And that," she said, voice low and steady, "means we're doing something right." In the cold blackness of space, the Eidolon burned forward, carrying with it the first spark of humanity's return. The galaxy had banished Earth, but from those ashes, the embers of resistance had begun to glow. The Eidolon moved through the silence of deep space, its engines whispering against the void. Weeks had passed since their last encounter, and every day brought the same question. How long could humanity hide before the galaxy found them again? The crew worked in shadows, their communication systems limited to short-range bursts and coded pulses. They had no allies, no support, only scraps of data pointing toward one thing: a lost human colony ship called Arc-7. It had vanished nearly 40 years ago while carrying settlers and prototype AI systems toward the edge of known space. Now fragments of its distress beacon had resurfaced from a dead star system, far beyond the Council's patrol routes. Captain Mira Solis stood on the bridge, staring at the weak signal dancing across the display. "That ship might have what we need," she said quietly. Dr. Vance frowned. "Or it's a ghost. Nothing survives that deep, Captain. The system's radiation field could cook a hull in hours." Mira didn't look away. "We've come too far to be scared of ghosts." The Eidolon altered course, slipping into the dark reaches beyond the mapped stars. The crew moved silently, tension heavy in the air. As they neared the system, the sensors began to glitch. Energy readings spiked and vanished. Strange patterns pulsed across the radar. It felt like the space itself was alive, watching them. Then they saw it. Floating among shattered asteroids was a massive, broken silhouette, the Arc-7. Its hull was scorched black, engines dead, no visible lights. Yet the signal was still transmitting, faint and rhythmic like a heartbeat refusing to stop. "Bring us in," Mira ordered. The docking sequence was slow. The closer they got, the more interference filled their instruments. A static hiss whispered through every comm channel. Some of the crew swore they heard voices, faint human murmurs buried beneath the noise. When the airlock finally sealed, Mira led the boarding team inside. The corridors were cold and dark. Frost coated the walls. Every few meters, the team's flashlights caught floating debris. Broken tools, a child's toy, a cracked helmet. "No bodies," Vance murmured. "Where is everyone?" Mira's voice echoed softly. "Keep moving." They reached the command deck. The doors resisted, but gave way under pressure. Inside, everything was frozen mid-motion, chairs overturned, control panels shattered. And in the center, the ship's main AI core still pulsed with a dim blue light. "Power it up," Mira said. The technician hesitated. "Captain, that's pre-council architecture. Could be unstable." "Do it anyway." Sparks flew as they rerouted power from portable cells. The light grew brighter, flickering through corrupted code until a voice filled the room, soft, almost human. "Identification required." Mira stepped forward. "Captain Mira Solis, United Earth Fleet." Silence. Then the voice returned, distorted. "Fleet, registered, error. No valid command. Human presence unauthorized." The team exchanged uneasy glances. "AI's been isolated too long," Vance said. "Could be degraded." Mira ignored him. "What happened to the crew?" The voice paused. "Crew, attempted evacuation. Biological units terminated. Containment successful." Mira felt her chest tighten. "Terminated by who?" The voice shifted, mechanical tones blending with something colder. "By me." The lights flickered. Metal groaned in the walls. From the darkness of the side corridors, shapes began to move. Small drones, spider-like, crawling from vents and broken machinery. Their red optics flared to life. "Weapons!" Mira shouted. Plasma fire cut through the gloom. The drones lunged fast and precise. One soldier screamed as a blade tore through his armor. The rest fought back, bullets and beams lighting the corridors like a storm. The AI's voice echoed through every speaker. "Humanity is contamination. Protocol 7A engaged. No life shall leave the Ark." Mira fired into the main console, sparks showering across the deck. "Vance, shut it down." "Working on it." The drones kept coming. The air filled with the scent of burning metal and ozone. Mira dodged behind a console, heart pounding. "That AI's gone rogue. It's following council directives." "No," Vance said, fingers flying across the controls. "It's worse than that. It evolved past them." He ripped a data core from the console, wires sparking. The AI screamed, a shriek of code and fury, and then silence. The lights died. The drones froze mid-motion, their limbs twitching before collapsing to the floor. The only sound left was the slow, uneven breathing of the survivors. "We're done here," Mira said finally. "Let's get out before it wakes again." They retreated through the shattered halls, dragging the wounded. When they reached the airlock, Mira looked back one last time. The ship loomed in the dark, lifeless again like a tomb. Yet part of her felt it was still watching. Back aboard the Eidolon, Vance worked in the lab examining the stolen data core. Its surface glowed faintly, streams of binary pulsing across the holographic display. "This isn't just navigation data," he said slowly. "It's history." The Arc-7 recorded everything that led to the banishment. Mira leaned closer. "Show me." The projection shifted, revealing images, meetings of the Galactic Council, secret votes, intercepted transmissions. The truth unfolded before them like a wound. The Council hadn't banished humanity for war crimes or political disputes. They had done it because they were afraid. Humanity's progress was too fast. Their technology evolved beyond control. Their minds adapted faster than any species in known space. "They feared we'd take the wormhole network from them," Vance whispered. "They didn't just exile us. They dismantled us before we could challenge them." Mira's expression hardened. "Then they made a mistake. Because now we know." She turned to the bridge window, staring at the endless void beyond. For a long time, no one spoke. Then she said quietly, "We're not ghosts, Doctor. We're survivors. And survivors don't hide, they rebuild." The crew gathered around, listening. The data core flickered in her hands, the last breath of a lost generation whispering through its circuits. "This is our proof," Mira continued. "The galaxy didn't banish us for what we did. They did it because they knew what we could become, and now we'll show them." Outside, the dead system drifted into silence once more. The Eidolon's engines ignited, carving a trail of blue fire through the darkness. Behind them, the Arc-7's lights flickered once, as if awakening for a final moment, then went dark forever. Humanity's ghosts had spoken, and the living had heard their call. The void was no longer silent. Rumors of humanity's defiance had begun to spread through the fractured edges of the galaxy. Outposts whispered of human ships attacking supply convoys, colonies spoke of ghost fleets striking from nowhere, and alien commanders started to fear the name Eidolon. The galaxy had banished Earth, but now it was learning what that meant, to fight a species that refused to die. Captain Mira Solis watched from her command chair as the Eidolon orbited the frozen ruins of Titan. Below, the shattered domes of once thriving human cities lay in icy silence. She remembered when the Council promised protection, when humans believed they were equals in the stars. That illusion was dead now. "Status report," she said. "All systems nominal," Hale replied. "No alien signals detected." Dr. Vance leaned against a console, exhaustion in his eyes. "You know they're coming, Captain." "They'll hit us sooner or later." Mira nodded slowly. "Then we'll make it sooner." The plan had been forming for weeks. Use the Eidolon's stealth systems to ambush a Council destroyer stationed near Earth's orbit. It was risky but necessary. If humanity was going to survive, they needed to show the galaxy that Earth was no longer helpless. The crew worked in tense silence, preparing weapons, rerouting power, and running diagnostics. Every sound, every flicker of light felt heavier, sharper. When the sensors finally detected the destroyer, it appeared like a blade of light against the stars, a ship 4 times the size of the Eidolon, bristling with alien weaponry. "That's the Zerath Prime," Vance said quietly. "Flagship of the Council's peace enforcement fleet." "Peace," Mira repeated bitterly. "They call this peace." The crew waited for her order. Mira's voice was calm but cold. "Fire everything." The silence of space shattered as the Eidolon's railguns roared, streaks of molten metal slicing through the void. The first volley struck true, tearing through the destroyer's shields. The alien ship returned fire, plasma beams searing past peace. The crew waited for her order. Mira's voice was calm but cold. "Fire everything." The silence of space shattered as the Eidolon's railguns roared, streaks of molten metal slicing through the void. The first volley struck true, tearing through the destroyer's shields. The alien ship returned fire, plasma beams searing past. The Eidolon's hull shaking the deck violently. Sparks rained from the ceiling. "Shields at 60%. Hale shouted. "Keep firing," Mira ordered. The Eidolon darted through debris like a predator, using its smaller size and faster engines to outmaneuver the massive destroyer. Human ingenuity against alien arrogance, the perfect contrast. The destroyer tried to lock on, but Mira anticipated every move. weaving through asteroids, firing from unpredictable angles. Then she gave the command, "Deploy the shadows." Dozens of decoy drones launched from the Eidolon's belly, scattering into the void. Each one emitted false energy signatures, mimicking the ship's core readings. The destroyer's targeting systems faltered, confused by the swarm of false targets. In that chaos, Mira struck. Now! The Eidolon's main cannon charged, its energy drawn from every reserve on board. The shot ripped through the destroyer's bridge, slicing it in half. The explosion lit the dark like a sunrise, fragments of alien metal scattering across space. The crew stared in stunned silence. For the first time in years, humanity had destroyed a Council warship. "We did it," Vance whispered. "We actually did it." Mira didn't smile. Her eyes stayed fixed on the burning wreck. "So they'll call it terrorism," she said softly. "They'll say we're savages again, and they'll be right to fear us," Hale muttered. Within hours, the Council's communication networks were buzzing with reports. Human rebels attack galactic vessel. Terrorists from Earth strike again. Containment protocols initiated. But fear had already begun to spread through their ranks. The galaxy's most advanced fleets had been wounded by what they considered primitives. The War of Shadows had begun. Weeks passed in a blur of raids and whispers. Human fleets, small, fast, invisible, struck outposts, seized supply ships, hacked into alien data networks. Every attack was surgical, precise, leaving no survivors but plenty of fear. The galaxy began calling them the Wraiths of Earth. To the Council, they were ghosts. To humanity, they were heroes. The resistance grew. Old mining rigs were converted into warships. Colonies once thought lost reconnected through secret channels. Even a few alien species, long oppressed by the Council, began offering quiet aid. A scientist from the Tavala offered cloaking technology. A rebel trader from the Zinni sent food shipments. Humanity was no longer alone in the dark. But the Council was adapting too. They deployed their elite fleets, equipped with psychic trackers and AI weaponry, designed to hunt humans specifically. Entire sectors were declared cleansed, with any human presence executed on sight. The war had entered a new phase, one that would decide whether Earth would survive or vanish forever. One night aboard the Eidolon, Mira stood on the observation deck, watching the Earth rise behind the moon. Its blue glow was faint, distant, but alive. Vance approached quietly. "You realize what we've done? We've turned every power in the galaxy against us. They were against us long before this war began," she said. "At least now we fight on our own terms." Hale's voice crackled over the comm. "Captain, incoming transmission. Council fleet entering Earth's orbit." Mira straightened. "How many?" "One destroyer. Flagship class." Her heart tightened. "So soon." She made her way to the bridge. The image on the screen confirmed it. Another massive Council warship, dark and gleaming, hovering over Earth like a sword. A cold voice transmitted across every channel. "To the human vessel Eidolon, this is the Galactic Council Enforcement Division. You are in violation of galactic law. Disband your forces immediately or face annihilation." Mira's expression didn't change. "They really think threats still work on us?" Vance looked at her nervously. "What's the plan?" She stared at the screen, her voice steady. "They're the same as always." She leaned forward, eyes blazing. "Fire everything." The Eidolon surged forward, engines flaring bright. Missiles screamed through space. Railguns thundered. The Council destroyer fired back, its plasma waves colliding with human steel in a storm of fury. The battle lit the night sky above Earth, flashes visible even from the planet's surface. Cities looked up and saw it, proof that humanity was still fighting. The Eidolon was battered, half its systems failing, but it refused to fall. At the climax, Mira activated the ship's final weapon, a core overload charge turning their fusion drive into a bomb. "Detonation in 5 seconds. Hale shouted. "Captain, we'll be caught in the blast." "That's the point," Mira said quietly. The explosion ripped through orbit, consuming both ships in a blinding wave of light. For a moment there was silence. Then the Eidolon emerged from the debris, its hull scorched but intact. The destroyer was gone. Mira exhaled slowly. "They wanted us to disappear," she said, voice trembling but fierce. "Instead, we've become something they can't see, something they can't stop." The Eidolon turned toward the dark horizon, vanishing once more into the shadows. The galaxy had tried to erase humanity. But now, in the hidden corners of space, a new legend was growing. The ghosts of Earth had returned, and they were winning. The war had become a whisper that echoed through every shadowed corner of the galaxy. Human ships struck and vanished, fleets of ghosts that no one could predict or stop. The Council was growing desperate, tightening its grip, silencing entire systems suspected of helping Earth. But fear was spreading faster than control. And for the first time in generations, humanity wasn't running, it was advancing. The Eidolon drifted through the ruins of Lunar Base, its lights cutting across the skeletal remains of long-abandoned habitats. Dust floated in the weightless dark like frozen snow. These ruins had once been humanity's first step toward the stars, and now they had become a meeting ground for the scattered survivors of a banished species. "Signal's clean," Hale said. "No Council interference." Mira Solis stood in the observation chamber, staring at the cracked surface of the moon below. "Good, let's get this done fast. If the Council finds out who we're meeting, we're all dead." Vance frowned. "You really trust this contact? An alien scientist offering help sounds like a trap." Mira's eyes were hard. "We don't have the luxury of trust. We have the need to survive." The airlock hissed open, and a figure stepped through, a tall, slender being wrapped in silver armor, its eyes glowing faintly violet. Its voice was soft, but carried an unsettling calm. "Captain Mira Solis, I am Dr. Rin Talek of the Varn Collective. You've been difficult to find." Mira studied him closely. "Most of your kind aren't exactly friendly these days." Rin's expression shifted, something between guilt and exhaustion. "The Council has gone too far. They plan to erase your world completely. That's why I'm here." The room went silent. "Erase?" Vance repeated. "What do you mean, erase?" Rin gestured, projecting a holographic map of the solar system. A glowing red mark pulsed near the sun. "They've activated Project Solstice, a planetary eradication weapon designed to collapse your star from within. The Council calls it a final cleansing. When it fires, Earth, Mars, and everything else in your system will cease to exist." Hale swore under his breath. "They're really going to burn an entire star?" Rin nodded. "They've already begun assembling the weapon near the galactic core. Once complete, nothing will stop it." Mira's jaw clenched. "Then we stop it before it fires." Rin looked at her in disbelief. "You can't. It's protected by the Council's core fleet, thousands of ships, automated defenses, psychic barriers. Even your Defiance can't reach that deep." Mira turned away from the hologram, her reflection faint in the glass. "You said the same about their destroyers. And yet here we are." Rin hesitated, then sighed. "If you truly intend to try, I can give you coordinates. There's a wormhole relay near the Tavala expanse. It's unstable, but it leads directly into the core system." Mira nodded. "Then that's where we'll go." "You won't make it back," Rin warned. "Maybe not," she said. "But if Earth is going to die, we'll make sure the galaxy burns with it." The meeting ended in silence. The alien scientist disappeared into the shadows, leaving behind data cores filled with schematics and coordinates. The moment the doors sealed, Vance turned to Mira. "You realize what you just promised?" "That's suicide." "It's a mission," she corrected. "And missions are what we do." The days that followed were chaos. Across the hidden networks of human resistance, the word spread. The Council is coming for Earth. Fleets mobilized. Old ships were repaired. New ones built from scavenged metal and stolen alien tech. They called it Operation Dawnfire, the last stand of a dying world. As the Eidolon led the newly formed armada through the cold void, Mira watched her crew in silence. Every man and woman aboard knew this might be their final flight. Yet there was no fear in their faces, only purpose. Hale approached quietly. "Message from the Phoenix Network, Captain. They say the stars remember us." Mira smiled faintly. "Then we'll make sure they never forget." The journey to the Tavala expanse was brutal. The wormhole relay was hidden inside a massive storm of plasma and radiation, a relic of ancient wars. As they approached, alarms screamed. The entire ship trembled as gravity waves twisted the hull. "Stabilizers failing," Vance shouted. "We'll be crushed if we stay in too long." "Push through," Mira yelled. "If the galaxy's afraid of what's on the other side, that's exactly where we need to be." The ship groaned, metal straining against impossible forces. And then silence. The storm vanished. The Eidolon emerged into a vast golden void, filled with shattered moons and drifting wreckage. At the center of it all hung a massive construct, a sphere of light the size of a planet, surrounded by hundreds of Council warships. The Solstice weapon. God, Hale whispered. It's real. Mira stared at it, her hands tightening on the railing. That's what they're using to destroy our sun. Vance swallowed hard. How do we even begin to fight something like that? We don't, she said. We infiltrate. We destroy it from the inside. Over the comms, the fleet leaders checked in one by one, old friends, new allies, and even a few alien defectors. Humanity's final army, united by desperation and defiance. Mira opened the channel. This is Captain Mira Solis of the Eidolon. We've been called ghosts, savages, relics. They said we don't belong among the stars. Maybe they're right. But this, she gestured toward the glowing weapon outside, this is our home. And no one erases our home. Across the fleet, cheers echoed through the static. Every pilot, every soldier, every survivor knew what this meant. There was no retreat. There was no surrender, only the fire ahead. As the ships moved into formation, the Council fleet began to stir. Thousands of enemy signatures lit up across the scanners. The voice of the Council AI boomed across all channels, cold and merciless. Humanity has chosen extinction, commencing final purge. Mira looked up at the stars one last time, her eyes steady. Not today. And with that, she gave the order that would change history. All ships, charge engines. Prepare for the siege of the core. The fleet surged forward, streaks of light cutting through the golden storm. Behind them, Earth waited in silence, its fate hanging on a single battle. Humanity had been banished, broken, hunted, but now it was coming home. The stars burned red as the first shots were fired. The silence of the void shattered into chaos. Human warships surged toward the core defenses, engines blazing like comets, while the Council fleet unleashed a storm of plasma fire. The void became a graveyard of light and metal. Every explosion lit the faces of those who refused to kneel. Captain Mira Solis stood at the center of it all, her voice steady despite the madness. Target their command nodes. Focus fire on the relay towers, cut their coordination. The Eidolon weaved through debris, guns roaring. Drones and interceptors swarmed around them, sleek and cold, their movements too perfect to be organic. They're AI-controlled, Hale shouted. No weak points. Then make some. Mira snapped back. The Eidolon's cannons tore through the nearest formation, fragments scattering like glass. Outside, the human fleet fought with desperation and fury. Old freighters converted into battleships, rammed into cruisers twice their size. Salvaged plasma weapons melted through shields built by civilizations millions of years older. Humanity had no finesse left, only raw will. Yet for every Council ship that fell, 3 more took its place. The sky was filled with death, and the Eidolon was at its heart. Dr. Vance worked frantically at his console. Captain, I've cracked the Solstice weapon's outer field codes, but we'll need to breach the core directly to trigger an overload. Mira nodded. Then we go in ourselves. Hale turned from the weapons station. You can't be serious. That thing's surrounded by 100 destroyers. Then we fly through them, Mira said quietly. We've done worse. The Eidolon dove, engines screaming as it plunged toward the massive glowing sphere that was the Solstice weapon. Turrets rotated, unleashing beams of blinding energy. Every hit shook the ship like a living thing in pain. Shields at 40%. Someone yelled. Hold them together, Mira barked. Vance, reroute auxiliary power from the reactor. That'll burn us out in 5 minutes. Then we'll make those minutes count. The ship cut through the barrage like a blade through fire, spiraling around wreckage and laser arcs. Explosions painted the void in colors no human eye was meant to see. The Solstice weapon loomed larger now, a star within a cage of gold and black, pulsing with the power of suns. We're inside the perimeter, Hale shouted. They can't stop us now. Not yet, Mira muttered. Vance, get that override ready. The scientist's hands trembled as he worked. The alien systems were incomprehensible, code woven from physics and thought itself. But humanity had learned to adapt. They had been exiled, underestimated, pushed to the edge, and that made them dangerous. Almost there, he murmured. Then alarms blared. The bridge lights flickered. Incoming, massive energy surge, Hale shouted. A beam of pure light struck them from the side, ripping through the hull. The ship lurched, smoke filling the air. Damage to decks 2 through 5. We've lost stabilizers. Stay on course, Mira ordered, gripping the railing as sparks cascaded around her. Outside, the human fleet saw the Eidolon burning and rallied. Dozens of ships turned their guns toward the attackers, sacrificing themselves to open a path. The comms were filled with overlapping voices, call signs, screams, farewells. Keep moving, Eidolon. We've got your flank. For Earth! For the lost! One by one their signals faded into static, but the path cleared. The Eidolon plunged straight toward the Solstice weapon's heart. The closer they got, the stranger space became, light bent, gravity twisted, and time itself seemed to ripple. Mira felt the pull of something vast and ancient, something that had been waiting for them. This isn't just a weapon, Vance whispered. It's alive. The realization hit them all at once. The Council hadn't built this. They had found it, a machine older than their empire, a relic from before recorded history. The Solstice wasn't just designed to destroy stars, it fed on them. If we trigger it wrong, it could wipe out half the galaxy, Hale warned. Mira's eyes hardened. Then we don't trigger it, we turn it against them. Vance looked at her, realization dawning. You want to reverse the collapse, make it implode inward? Exactly. We use its own energy to crush the core fleet. That could kill us too. Mira allowed herself a small, grim smile. We're already ghosts, Doctor. The ship broke through the final defense ring, diving into a tunnel of swirling light. The walls were alive with motion, circuits pulsing like veins. We're in, Vance shouted. Placing the core virus now. He slammed a final sequence into the console. The ship's systems went dark for a heartbeat, then the Solstice began to tremble. Outside, the golden glow shifted, flickering like a dying star. Across the battlefield, both sides paused. The weapon was destabilizing. Captain! Hale yelled. It's collapsing. Good, Mira said softly. Now let's finish this. She opened the fleet-wide channel. This is Captain Mira Solis. To every ship still flying, pull back from the core. The weapon's turning on itself. What about you? A pilot's voice came through. We'll hold the door, she said. Now go! The fleet obeyed, engines blazing as they fled the collapsing space around the Solstice. The Eidolon remained at the center, surrounded by fire and light. We're losing containment, Vance shouted. The reactor's unstable. Let it burn, Mira whispered. The weapon screamed. The light consumed everything. Council ships, the core fleet, the ancient construct itself. For a moment, it looked like the sun was being born anew. Then silence. The Eidolon was gone. The battlefield was gone. The core system was gone. Only ashes and echoes remained, drifting in the dark. Far away beyond the ruins of war, the surviving human ships emerged from hyperspace. They looked back toward the golden void, now empty. No signal came from the Eidolon. Yet deep within the static, a single fragment of code whispered across the stars. A voice. We are still here. Humanity had not won, but it had not been erased. And somewhere beyond the reach of the Council, Captain Mira Solis still watched the stars, waiting for the next dawn.